Hey guys, welcome back. This is tutorial number 2, which is about the lighting system. So far we left off with a simple sphere and a cube that we turned into the ground of this world. But I'm going around the sphere and I can't see any depth to it. And I think the reason is why you need some light to convey some depth. So let's add in a light here. I go back to my editor. So we're gonna add elements. And I'm just going to call light 1. And here you select it is going to be a light, and that gives you a couple of settings. So there's 3 basic types of light, and I'll demonstrate what they look like: directional, spot, and point. And they each are kind of used a little differently. Directional. Let's just start with this. Save. Oh, why there's 2? Okay, you know what? Let me delete 1. Alright, so go back to the world. Okay, there you go. Now you see the light is on top and it is illuminating the top half of the sphere as well as the entire ground. Alright, so I don't see a shadow, so let's click on cast shadow. Let's see what happens with that. Okay, let's go to sphere and receive shadow, cast shadow. Right, ground. Cast shadow, receive shadow. There you go. There's a bit of a shadow on the sphere right there. So that is directional light. Let's if you click show helper, you'll see where you'll be able to visualize the light a little better. Now where is this light? I think it's actually inside. There's a clue. It's inside here. That's why it's behaving like this. So let's move it a little up. Let's move this light a little up. Okay, so directional light is kind of represented by a square with a line going through it. And you can see its directionality right here. Now let's change this into a spotlight and see what happens. Very different. Very different. I actually like to use spotlight the best, personally, because it's you really get a really good control of it. Now, spotlights, a lot of interesting features here in spotlights. You can determine its angle. So if I just say put it at half and go back, you can see that it really goes down. And if you increase it, the angle increases. You know, if you deploy a bunch of them like that, you can really have fine control over what is lit and what is not. It also casts a very sharp shadow relative to the directional light. So if you go back to directional lights, change that to directional. See, the shadow is it's a little strange, you know, it's a little strange. In terms of realistic shadow effects, your best bet is using spotlights, right there. Now, if you find that the edge is too sharp, you can change the softness of the edges with the penumbra setting. So I'm going to go up and change it to a little higher. As you can see, it really softens it up. You get the really beautiful color effects possible with Arium. Now let's change the color. I don't like white. Let's make it blue. You go to color and you kind of choose your color you want. So let's make this blue. And let's go back. There you go. And you can change its intensity like that. Make it very, very blue, or you can even make it much more faint. Much, much more faint. This is just a hint of blue. And if you turn off the helper, you can really see its subtle effects. Look at that. That's just a little touch. Very beautiful, actually. But for now, let's just change it back to white, because that's we're just trying to do some practical stuff here. All right. Now the last type of light is point light, and let's click on that. See what happens. So if we click on show helper, you'll see that it is represented by a little diamond. Now for me, point light is best used in an indoor environment, if you're like inside a cube or inside a gallery space. But you can already see like the point light emanates from one point and then dies off. It's kind of different from directional and spotlights. And you can see that on the horizon it's creating quite a beautiful gradient to darkness as the distance goes. Point light's interesting because you can actually set its decay. So let's just set the decay higher and see what happens. if you set the greater distance, actually the more limited the light is, in the sense that it drops off quicker. So let's set it to high. And you can see that this triangle, this tetrahedron thing gets bigger, but ironically the environment actually gets darker. Whereas if you set the distance to 0, you can see that the tetrahedron gets much, gets much smaller, but more is illuminated. I mean, play around with this. I'm also like, you know, I'm also figuring out this as I use a little more. But generally, these are your 3 light types, and you can also combine lights and, you know, different things like that. So let's put it in a different. Let's bring in a different light, just for fun. Let's make light number 2. And let's make it a spotlight, and let's make it red, and let's see what happens there. Alright, so you see the spotlight down there. I'm gonna make the helper and make it more intense. Okay, so you can see it's originating from under there. Let's change the X position a little bit, and let us make it a little higher. Okay, so you can see now there's a combination of 2 lights. There's the spotlight, and there is the point light interacting. So the interaction of colors and lights in this world is truly limitless. I haven't found a limit to it yet. I'm still experimenting myself. But with a combination of different light effects, you can make your world really stand out and look very good, and you know, suit your needs. Anyways. Thanks for tuning in. This is tutorial number 2.